Hi, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and today I'm going to be doing my March TBR. So I'd like to thank all the people who have subscribed to me over the last couple of months. I have reached the 400 subscriber mark, and that is beyond my greatest expectations when I started this channel. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. It's been quite interesting experience here on BookTube, and I look forward to having many great and exciting experiences moving forward. So with that being said, let's move on into what I'm going to be reading for the month of March. So March is Women's History Month, so I decided that this month that I will read books that are written by women. So all the books that I'm going to be reading this month are going to be written by women, and I have some interesting books here. So the first book I'm going to read is Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samara Ahmed. This is the first YA book that I'm read in a very, very long time. This book basically is about an Indian girl who she has expectations for what her life wants to be, and her mother has other expectations. But her life gets a lot more complicated when a terrorist attack happens, and the guy has the same last name as she does, and she now has to deal with the discrimination that comes from just having his last name. So I heard about the premise of this book, and I thought it'd be a really interesting read. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope it's as good as everyone said that it is. And for my non-fiction choice for this month, I'll be reading Redefining Rape by Estelle B. Freeman, Sexual Violence and the Era of Suffrage, in the Era of Suffrage and Segregation. So basically this will be a reread for me for the Rereadathon, which is for this month is reread a non-fiction book, a autobiography, and a memoir. So I have this for the non-fiction choice. I have one for the autobiography, and I don't have one for memoir, unfortunately. But basically this book talks about the legal history of the laws concerning rape in this country, and how women of all races in this country have fought to get them changed, and that fight is still going on, not in just terms of rape, but sexual harassment and things like that as well. So this was a good this was good the first time I read it. I didn't get to finish it, so technically it's not a full reread, but I read most of it. It was very eye-opening for me. I didn't know about a lot of stuff in this book, but and there's some things I did know, but there's a lot of things that this drew my attention to that I never thought of before. So I'm really hoping that it will that I would learn more from this time around, reading it, most of it for the second time, and reading some of it for the first time. So my graphic novel read for this month is Monstrous by Mallory Liu and drawn by Sana Takeda. I picked up volume 1 of this last month without really knowing what it was about, but the artwork is what drew me into it. This is volume 2, and I absolutely love the story. Basically, it is about a girl named Micah. She is a amputee from a recent war between the Arcanites, who are like they're beings who can pass for humans, but they're kind of like a mix between, in a way, human and animal characteristics, and then the Kimea, who are humans who basically harvest Arcanics for the magic that is in their bodies. So there's been a huge war between them, and there's been this truce because something terrible happened that caused both sides to stop the war. And basically she's trying to find out what happened to her, because now she has this monster that comes out of her amputated arm. And it's a great look at the dehumanization that happens in war, and how you can pull through with strong friends and being a strong person. And she's a very strong female character. The artwork in this series is amazing. It's what brought me to it, and I still have this in plastic wrap because I had to keep myself from reading it last month, because I was reading everything else but what was on my TBR. And when I picked this up, I would have immediately read it had it not been for the plastic wrap. So I'm thankful for that, because I was able to read everything else on my TBR. So this is my graphic novel read for the month. Next, I'm going to be reading another book of poetry, the poems of Ellie Gross, Memories of a Holocaust Survivor. So technically this is a memoir and poems, but it's not a reread, unfortunately. I'll be reading this for the first time. I picked this up when I was at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. They had this thing where if you bought like a book, you will also be able to get this book free and get it signed by the author, which I did. So basically, this is just a recollection poems of her recollections of her time in Holocaust camps during Nazi Germany. So this should be quite an interesting read. So the next 4 books, I know very little about the plot, and I purposely did so that when I went into them, I can go in with basically fresh eyes. But I'm really excited to be reading these next 4 books, and one of them is Kendrick by Octavia Butler. All I know about this book is that the main character is repeatedly sent back in time to like when one of her ancestors was a slave, and basically she has to survive and deal with the things that happened in slave time back in those times. So I really look forward to reading Kendrick. It's been recommended a lot here on BookTube, and a friend who loaned this copy to me also highly recommended it, so I look forward to that. And then also I'll be reading the Binti Trilogy by Nnedi Okorafor. She actually wrote a Black Panther, a number of Black Panther comics like this past couple months that I read and that were good. So I have some, I know I've read some of her work before and it's pretty good. So I really look forward to the Binti Trilogy, which is basically about this African girl and space. That's all I really know about, and that's all that was enough to draw me into it, because I never read Afrofuturism before, and I really want to try this out and see if this is something that I will want to continue to read, a genre that I will continue to read. So I will definitely be reading in the Binti Trilogy, and hopefully I enjoy it. Last but not least, I will be doing a reread for the autobiography portion of the rereadathon, and that is from the classic slave narratives, which I read last month. And I'm going to be rereading the incidents in the life of a slave girl. That story and what she went through and how strong she was through the whole thing was absolutely amazing. And I'm definitely going to reread it, because it's a very powerful story of how she survived, even though her master was constantly after her. She basically beat the odds in a way, and it's just a very, while sad, also inspirational story to show just how strong the human spirit can be, even in the worst of times. So that's what I'll be reading for the month of March. I hope to have a very good reading month, and all the books that I have here do seem to basically hit that mark, and I hope they all do. So what will you be reading for the month of March? Please comment down below. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. And as always, keep reading.